I want to share an interesting story or an exchange that happened between me and one of the colleagues that I was speaking to. She and I were talking about, how much the impact of AI and how quickly it is coming at us at the grassroots level, where it's writing emails, it's taking care of your sales, it's making your life a lot easier, so to speak, and. And she was expressing how concerned she was about this entire acceleration, and she was like, Ajita, I don't know if many people are really prepared for what's coming at them. They seem to be unaware, if not oblivious, to what this is going to unfold for each one of them in their lives. And, some of us are, fortunate enough to be catching up with the latest technology. We are educating ourselves, we're getting our hands dirty, we're learning, we're dabbling with ChatGPT or any of the AI tools or many of the AI tools. And she was expressing concern. And I heard that and I flipped back a question or played a question back at her and asked, what exactly are you worried about them, the people that are unaware of what's coming at them? What is the real concern? And she said, well, my bigger concern is that this is going to be a lot and they may not be able to handle, nor will they be able to recover or bounce back. When I heard her say that, I said, what if that very place they are finding themselves in is actually the wake-up call for them to actually look at what truly matters? And I say this because a lot of times we get caught up in the external reality, right? I got bills to pay. I got a job to go to. I got to make money. I got to provide for my family. I got to do this, 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 this. The list is endless. It's endless. And when we get caught up in that outer reality and we are circling in this, what I call the hamster wheel, like every day, it's like you're waking up and doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. At some point, something comes and hits at you. Unfortunately, for most of us, that's when we really wake up. It's when the pain becomes too much, we end up waking up. It's not that we don't get wake-up calls before that. We do. But we're so busy living our external reality of what we call as life, living up to other people's expectations, living up to our societal conditioning, our cultural conditioning, our childhood programming. There are many ways to frame this thing. We get caught up in this, I got to, I should, I must. There are so many shoulds, so many musts, and so many got tos that we don't ever listen to the message that is coming at us, that is very subtle to begin with. And then we find ourselves in this place where something comes and hits us really hard. And that's when we wake up and we're like, oh my God, something's got to change because I can't deal with what's coming at me so quickly. So in my interaction with her, I said, what if that's exactly the place that they need to find themselves in, simply because that's when they will wake up? When I say they, it's true for all of us. I found myself in a similar place a decade ago. The signs were there. The pain was immense. Emotional pain was immense in my journey. And yet I never did anything about it because I was living a life that everybody else expected me to live. And in my operating system, which is my subconscious mind, the identity I was carrying was, I am who others want me to be. That is the program. I am, fill in the blanks, is your identity statement. So my identity statement was, I am who others want me to be. And I've lived literally more than 3/4 of my life embodying that identity. I became an engineer because that's what was expected of me. I became an MBA because that's what was expected of me. And then I became a wife, and then I became a mother. And these were all expectations. There was never a moment in this journey where I paused and asked, who do I really want to be? And I don't think any of us ever take a moment and ask that question to ourselves. So coming back to the story, and I asked her, what if that is exactly the place they are finding themselves to be, to then do something different, to wake up from this outer monotonous, routine, paycheck-driven life or money-driven life is being interrupted by something as disruptive as potentially AI, or it could be, or many of you may be going through this right now. You may be going through this in the form of the loss of a job, in the form of losing a relationship that is so close to your heart, or in the form of a health challenge. My heart goes out to you completely. because I know what it is to be in many of these situations. I've lived through all of this. And hence, I'm being even more so called to give this perspective to any of you that are going through this challenge, what you may even be terming as the mess in your life. I find myself in a mess. Everything is breaking down. Nothing seems to be working. No matter what I do, things aren't changing. Again, coming back to the story, I was saying, what if that is where they really need to find themselves so that they can start to be someone different and do something different? Then she was sharing with me, well, my concern is how are they going to be able to come out of it? Like, who's going to help them? And my immediate answer was, that's why people like me are around. And I say this with absolute humility because the last decade of my journey was literally trial by fire, without a question. Part of the reason why I went through all of that in many ways is to be sharing this very message with you today. Okay? Which means I was caught up in the same hamster wheel. I was a senior vice president in a multinational bank. I was doing extremely well. They were not going to fire me. And I didn't have to leave the relationship that I did. But those were all choices I took. I took because at some point, when you really feel the weight of the lie you've been living, the pain, the emotional pain of not being true to yourself, living somebody else's truth, weighs on you so badly that your soul wakes up and kicks your ass. And that's when things start to shift. And that's when things started to shift for me because the pain was so much that my emotional body could no longer contain it. And for the backdrop, I was in a relationship for over 23 years. So that's a long period to not be your own self, to not be your authentic self. Yes. So that is the point at which we actually end up finding that pivot of change. And that was what happened with me a decade ago, where the pain became intense, emotional pain, and the deep aspect of this is not who I am supposed to be. There's something greater, something larger for me to be doing and being out there. It was subtle to begin with, right? I never paid attention. And then it started to become louder and louder and louder. And then I could no longer ignore it. And that's when I had to make these very difficult choices of leaving a long-term relationship, around the same time leaving a long-term career. They were both 2 decades long. And reinventing myself. Was it easy? Heck no, absolutely not. The reason I'm sharing this is because the very mess that I found myself in the last decade has become my message today. And the message is, you can never win by trying to change your external reality. You cannot. You can try and change that toxic boss that you have. You can try and hope and wish and pray for your spouse to become someone different than who they are, your partner to change, your child to become better in their behavior. You can do all of that. But you know where the real power lies? Inside of you. Right now, the version of you that is listening to this very video that I'm posting on YouTube is a version of you that is holding deeply conditioned identity statements, beliefs, emotional baggage, and physical messages that are coming through to your body level because you have either ignored those messages at the emotional, your intellectual, or your identity level. You have ignored them. You're unaware of them possibly. But at the last point of attention, your body starts to speak louder because you have not paid attention to all the other 3 levels. So your body starts to make noise. Say, hey, pay attention to this. Something's going on here. The key here is if you are finding yourself in a mess right now, there are 2 things I want to leave you with. Number 1, this mess is exactly what's going to become your message. First, it is a message for you, and then it becomes a message for the world. Number 2, in order for your mess to become a message, you're going to have to take responsibility. Take responsibility for the fact that only you have the power to change your reality, however it may look right now. A part of you that is holding on to that conditioning, the identity, the emotional baggage, the beliefs and programs that no longer are serving you needs to be released. You have to make a commitment to upgrade your inner operating system. I call this the EPIC leadership operating system. What do I mean by that? EPIC. E stands for emotional, operating system stands for physical operating system. I stands for intellectual operating system, and C stands for consciousness operating system. Each one of these four have a role to play in how we show up in our world and what the world then mirrors back to us. So, concluding, your mess is also your message, but only if you take responsibility and commit to upgrading whatever it is in your epic leadership operating system that is holding you back. Here are 4 questions. Ask yourself, what are the emotions that I have not been aware of and not processing right now? Number 2, what do you believe is true about your life, about your career, about your relationships? What programs are running in your intellectual operating system? What is my body trying to tell me? Your physical operating system. Every part of your body has a message. When they are dysfunctioning or diseased, they are giving us a message. Pay attention, sit quietly, tune into the body and ask which part of the body wants to send a message to me and what is that message. Tune in and ask. You will receive the message. And last but not the least, who do I believe I am that this particular mess that I'm finding myself in is reflecting back to me? I can give you my example. When I found myself at that very pivotal pain point of change, the identity that I didn't know it then. That's why I'm doing this video for you to find it now. I didn't know it then, but my identity, my consciousness OS was sitting with an identity that I am who others want me to be. Okay, very powerful OS identity statement that ended up reflecting. I was being everything to everybody and completely depleted from within, for my own self. There was zero self-love, zero self-worth, zero self-respect. None of this existed in my reality. So I needed to learn all of these things. So here is my gift to you in this video. Concluding, your mess is your message. You got to take responsibility and commit to unraveling which of these operating systems are holding you back. It could be more than one. Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it intellectual? Is it consciousness? Or is it many? Combination. Unravel it, uncover it. And once you do it, please let me know in the comments, what have you unraveled? Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so that it can reach many, many more leaders who are ready to step into their epic leadership potential. Thank you.